Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good
Good
morning,
morning out there.
Sue. Good morning, Sandra. Sue is the early bird today. And Sandra and Esther and Juliet and Diacolin and Dion and George. I'm glad to hear from you guys. I'm glad you're doing all right. We need to talk on the phone. Hey, Adele. And my sissy and brother-in-law. Hey, my sister. Phyllis Kendrick. Good morning to you. Good morning, Jill. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning out there, everybody.
Good morning, Phyllis. Wow, I'm glad you guys are in here already. And we're here live and in color. Pastor's getting situated.
Yep.
Hope you all are doing well. We are. A little bit of sniffles because of all the allergies. The trees, I love the trees. But the trees this year, time of year, they really put out pollen. And so I've been kind of sniffly and sneezy. Good morning, Vern. It's good to be in the neighborhood today. Good to be in the neighborhood. Pastor, you going to say good morning?
I'll say good morning to all of you guys out there. It's good to have you back again. As always, you are a wonderful miracle of testimony. Your testimony that the Lord is real. Our existence here is God is real. Without even telling anybody, you are the manifestation of the physical form of God through your existence.
Yeah.
Nobody else could do for you, to you, and make you into what you are but God. And I mean, I'm talking about your existence, your essence. Just the ideal that you are now waking up by what I just said is enough to spearhead you on into a greater manifestation of awareness.
Good morning, Joe and Pearl and
Joe Jr.,
and Judy. I'm glad you guys are
Pearl,
with us this
Sandra,
morning.
Laverne, Phyllis Lee, Jill Lee, and Snipes Lee.
Okay.
All the Lees.
Yes, Lees. Yes.
Jill Hopsey.
Okay, I want to read something to you to kind of kick it off. And I'm not sure which direction Pastor's going in because we don't collaborate before we do these lives. But we both speak from our inspirations and that we are embodying at the moment. So I'm going to read this, and this is out of a book called The Eye of the Eye. I don't know if you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
The Eye of the Eye, and it's by David Hawkins. And this particular chapter is about the nature of God. Please let us know if you're hearing and seeing us clearly.
Yeah, give us a
Good
thumbs
morning,
up.
my son Armstrong. All right, I'm going to read this, and I'm not sure where I'll stop, but I'll just go like this. God is everywhere present. This is about the nature of God. So God is everywhere present, including the here and the now. God is not elsewhere, such as only in a distant heaven, nor in the future, so as to be available only when one gets to heaven. The presence of God is available to everyone all the time. God is beyond perception. That means you probably can't perceive God, even though it is present all the time. God is beyond duality. He's beyond two. God is beyond positionality. God is beyond having parts. There are no parts to God. God is beyond all opposites, such as good and bad, right and wrong, win or lose. Like the sun, God shines equally on all. God's love is not reserved for a favored few. I thought that was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like empty space that is not changed by its content, or water that is unaffected by the fish that swim through it, the mind of God is beyond all form. Like space, It is equally present in the objects therein. That which is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent is not vulnerable to threat or emotional upset. So God is not prone to revenge, jealousy, hatred, violence, vanity, egotism, or the need for praise or compliments. The beneficiary of worshiping is the worshiper. God is totally and absolutely complete and has no needs or desires. God is not unhappy or upset if you have never heard of him or don't believe in him. Many of the old world descriptions of God are actually figments of man's guilty projections of fear. Now that's a biggie, isn't it?
Read that again, that last part.
Many of the old world descriptions of God are actually figments of man's guilty projections of fear. Primitives thought that every storm meant that God was angry and that he needed sacrifices to calm himself down. Volcanoes also indicated that God was angry. The ego demands explanations and looks for causes. God was therefore rationalized to be the cause of earthly events that created fear, such as earthquakes, famine, floods, pestilence, storms, drought, barrenness, or bad health. And you know what? Even now in this 21st century, in our insurance for our home insurance coverage that we have, they have acts of God. And acts of God are not covered. Acts of God, they still have that same primitive view. So I think that what's happening now is a lot of us are having our concept of God completely diminished and wiped out, because what we thought God was and how we thought God was is being completely changed.
Now, modern day time, they're saying now that God made a mistake by putting who has been allowed to be our president.
And we all know that the president is there because of the way the votes have gone.
Yeah.
So we've attributed to God so many things, so many human things. Let me read this part, if you don't mind. Natural disasters occurred before mankind was even on the planet. But yet we still say that they were caused by God. The God of old is the projection of the ego energies associated traditionally with the chakra of the spleen. The gods of the spleen are really serious misconceptions and account for the fact that many old religions and scriptures make one go weak. They represent the demonic gods of fear, hatred, envy, jealousy, and retribution. The fear of God's righteous anger is still prevalent today. That's something. That's really something. So I realized this a long time ago, that God is not out to punish anybody, but God is interested in correcting whatever is causing that person to suffer. And a lot of times we don't realize what's causing us to suffer. We just, because we're so unconscious in most of our daily life, we don't realize what's making us suffer, even though it's our thought about the situation that is making us suffer.
All right. You're up this morning.
What you think about that?
I think that's a good one.
Yes.
Now that'll pay your light bill.
Yes. And so I want to say something about what Oliver's mentioned here, which I think is really good. He says our egoic thinking has made of God an unloving father. And that's true. And a lot of people can't even relate to God as a father because their own human father biologically was not nurturing. or to not loving.
Heard a guy say the ego is a ghost with a bad toothache.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right.
And then Pearl says this. You guys giving some good comments already. Is that not the consciousness that Adam walked out of the garden in, and man has continued to pass that state down?
That's right.
Wow, that's a good, Pearl. I hadn't thought of that, but that is true.
As Adam was at that point the God of this earth in the sense of his creation, then Adam, the fall of Adam, if it is true,
Mm-hmm.
he fell.
Mm-hmm.
That was a piece of God misunderstanding himself.
Yes, yes, that is
And when
true.
you get that kind of power going in the opposite direction, it has to be turned by another supernatural awareness
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
a mistake was made in identity.
Yes,
So the power that we are working in these areas is a God type of eternity. It is an infinite power
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
we are now and have always been.
Right. And here Janie says, hey, my sweetheart, Janie. She says, we have humanized God.
Mm-hmm,
And that's true. We have humanized God. Let me read this a little bit, if you don't mind.
Okay,
is
go
it
ahead.
okay?
Go ahead.
God is not injured by anybody's wrongdoing and therefore has no trauma to avenge.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people think that God takes sides, but he does not. God does not take sides.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They said the image of God as a retaliatory, cruel punisher is hard to eradicate from one's thinking. God is blamed for all that is actually the product of the ego itself. It is the ego that is the source of guilt, sin, suffering, condemnation, and the creation of all the hells.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It seeks salvation by blaming it all on God. It does so by turning God into his opposite. And that brings me back to oneness.
Mm-hmm.
There cannot be, let me say it like this. We cannot be one with God. And it's a play on words. And I'll tell you why. You can't be one with God because in order to be with, there has to be two.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oneness is only one.
Mm-hmm.
So that means one of those two has to disappear, and God is not going to be the one to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God's not going to be the one to disappear. So that means the self that we believe we are eventually has to disappear. And that is where the resistance comes in, because we start discovering the person and wanting that egoic person to continue. And everything that we do and have done in the past up to this point of awakening has been to sustain that person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We got some good comments, Pastor.
God is unobjectified.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. He is unobjectified, meaning if there was never a book or a piece of paper, ink, or anything like that to write down statements, God would still exist. And I'll tell you this, what we are saying now would be automatically revealed because the God self, eternal self, that can never die, it can never go nor come, the eternal, what we call the born again self, cannot stop or go unless it is put under the auspices of a physical body and a mind that believes that God or the eternal self is locked up in a time dimension. It was only then. But if you look outside of these finite bodies at your true self and God, you would understand that with or without an object, he still exists. And with or without an object, we, as one with him, always have existed. So there's no end to us in our infinite, eternal, born again self, you might say. But now I can go into the born again and just go over into the conditioned self,
you could,
and show you in the conditioned self that experiences like born again new creature is all a part of the. It's all a part of a story, and it's all a part of something that's been misunderstood about our true identity.
We got some comments coming in. Now
Oh
we must be
yes.
hitting. We must be hitting
Oh
today.
yeah.
This is coming from Laura. She said, "This happened to me." I think she's talking about the father thing. A
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
people not be able to
Right.
relate to God as a father. This happened to me with my father. My earthly father was emotionally unavailable, and I had two stepfathers who were abusive. But God has opened me up to His real love. And I'm pretty sure, Laura, if you took the time to tell us, you would say that it took you a while to believe that God really loved you. Yes. And then you have what Judy said, which I think is really good. She said, it's so sad that people blame God for pretty much everything. How could God lie? How could God do that to me? Yes, that's what people often say. How did God let this happen to me? Why did God let this happen to me? And that's the lie, Judy. That is the lie. We believe that God is the cause or the one who allowed it when He should have intervened. If He loved me, He should have intervened. But not intervening is God allowing you to learn from your lessons, because our hard heads are hard.
Sister Hill, Miss Judy, there is a place where you will come to as you go deeper into investigating your true identity, where personally, in a very personal, intimate way, God will unravel your question and your statement about blame and making everything look like it's Him. He will show you. He will actually, from within, and give you infallible proof of understanding more the deepness of what you are asking, because you're going to find out something about your true nature and God.
I don't think Jude's asking us.
No,
She's
no,
saying this
no.
is what people usually say.
But I know this. You're just telling us what's going on,
and that's true.
And I'm telling you this because I run across the same thing with all of this. God is killing, murdering, and He explained it to me clear.
Really?
But yeah, He did explain it to me. But I'm gonna lie. I'm not gonna respond anymore to it because I'm like this. If I taste something and you say you don't, it's eating and you don't eat that, then finally somewhere down the line you'll get a taste of it and you say, oh, I really see what he's talking about now. Okay. And you will understand it. But
so, I understand.
A lot of people mess with that thing of blaming God and telling what is and what is not of Him and judgments and all that. And I don't mess with that. I just go ahead on and wait. They'll see it. They'll see it. They'll see what you see. And if your pure presence, what has happened to you as far as Laura, in presence of with your family, that will also be cleared up because I went through some of the same thing that you're talking about, and it's your father. Sometimes you can have a love and hate relationship.
A love-hate
relationship. But even that, I'm gonna tell you something. Even that, my dad was all rough and all that stuff. My uncle and all of them, they were like that. But one day, a light bulb came on
in you,
inside of me, and it revealed to me why this happened the way it was. But I can tell you this: what happened to you with your father is being used right now to speak to us and to everybody on this site.
That's right.
A mystical, loving side, no end, no depthness, height beyond anything. How God is taking that event in your life. And let me tell you something else. You wasn't just there in all of that by yourself. It was no longer you that was going through this. Galatians 2:20 in the book. It was God that was in your form going through this and going to use and is using it now to spearhead you forward with a strength and a wisdom and an insight that will absolutely blow your socks off. I mean, it is amazing. I had to see it like this. And I went back through everything that I could think of, my mind could think of, that my family did to me and forgave them. Some of them I had a chance to stand face to face and tell them I forgive them.
Yeah.
But if you can't do that, it is still settled in the mystical, revelatory insight mind of God, the brain of Christ, the brain of God, that you will see the love of God come through from your memories. It'll come through those people and use you more and more to show his power.
Now, we have some other comments. Of course, Oliver's asking some deep questions that would probably take us off the course, but he says, is the fall a true happenstance? Is separation possible? According to the course, it's not. We could say, yes, it is. The fall may be true, but only true in the illusionary dream. But anyway, that's another subject. But we're going to move on to that.
Let me speak to it.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
saw years ago when I first found out that our union with Christ was real, and I based this on whatever. I found out that the key to happiness is the resistance being removed by seeing.
Yes.
By seeing
Yes.
and by intuition, a
Yes.
fact
Yes.
that God is everywhere present at one time, even though people, as some of us say that God is not in them or God not with them. If that's the case, then he cannot be omnipotent, omnipresent.
Exactly.
So he is there.
Yes.
They're just using their mind to try to root him out, but they can't.
And the truth is, God is always there inside of
been anywhere else but
inside of
there.
every being. However, that being may not know that, and that being may have conditions that are covering and veiling the presence of God in them.
Yes, separation is an illusion. Separation from God and telling people that you don't know God. That's a part of you that is Him and everybody. So you can I used to be in the factory and they used to fuss and debate about where God was and was He real. I just get up and walk out because
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to something else that Lori mentioned, and we got a lot of comments coming in.
Go ahead.
She says, I am the love of Christ.
That's
and
true.
That is a true statement.
That's true.
And you know what, Lori, I discovered that what was happening to me from an egotistical aspect was that I was looking for love instead of being love in my presentation. I was wanting love instead of being love in this earth, and it took me a while to realize that lust for someone to love us was coming from the ego as well. It's coming from the ego as well.
I usually tell people this, and you probably, some of you cornerstoners out there have heard me say it. Here it is. We are our mothers and our fathers. Our mothers carried us as her inside of the womb. And when we came forth out of the womb, for the first time in the physical world, your mom and your dad saw a piece of them or themselves standing on the outside looking back at themselves. If we were born of, and God is in us and we are one with Him and all that kind of stuff, then God, when He looks at us,
it's hard to have oneness language.
Yeah,
it is.
It is God looking at Himself when He looks through and beyond the physical, or whatever way you want to say it. So we are our parents looking back at themselves, but the mind tells us, and the ego said, that they had us and we are separate and apart from them by physical awareness. When you wake up to your true identity, here's enlightenment. Enlightenment says, what I just quoted to you, I said to you, you are your father and your mother standing on the outside looking at themselves. That's the reason why Jesus said, he that have seen me have seen the Father.
Yes, yes. So he understood oneness more than the majority of us. We are so locked into duality. And I'm sure that Jesus had to evolve into more and more of an awareness of that. I wanted to address something that Katrina has mentioned here. She said, is it that God as us is having many experiences? And I wanted to stop there. And then she mentioned some more, but I wanted to stop there. Okay, let's go all the way back to God as unmanifest, when there was and is no thing but God. And that still is God unmanifest. God is no thing. There was no thing outside of God. There was no thing other than God. There was no opposite. There was no other. So where did we come from? I, as a thought, emerged from God. So you and an I are all just a thought of God, an imagining that God had. I, as a thought, emerged from God into an awareness of being. That's how we came to be. I, as a thought, God had a thought, and it was me. It emerged from God, didn't leave God. It's still in God as an imagining, and it is now aware of being. Then it becomes aware of being in a form that was created either by myself as God or God as me. A cell created this body, this form, and then I became the experiencer. So we all became the experiencer and the seeker, because at that moment we began searching for our origin. From the very beginning, searching for our origin. Now I'm going to read the rest of what she says. The ego tries to make us believe that it's Katrina, Laverne, co-pastor, etc., is having the experience. God, is not separate and a part of anything. So it is always God as this being, because there is no other.
Well, here's something else I discovered.
Okay.
As we move on into this, and the wife and I are been talking about this some yesterday, and I want you guys to hear this. Eventually, just like you don't look in the mirror all day long and say, this is me, this is me, this is me. I am you, I am you. There will come a place where your voice, your strength to talk about your eternal self will drop into your heart so strong, or it will come up out of your heart into your head, to where you will settle the issue and the dust of your true identity, and you will begin to function in an unaware, but aware state. And you will not, and some of the material that you are hearing and reading, it will drop off too, because you will see that the only thing, and watch this now, the only thing you've been looking for all these years, whether it's been new birth, baptism, water, whatever, church, whatever, books, whatever, the only thing you've been desiring all this time is to get your true identity back in place.
That's it. Looking for ourselves.
That's it. That's it.
Looking for the origin, and the origin is the Father that has birthed us.
You'll come up with this finger and you'll say to those gainsayers and those, even the part of you that seem to be resistance in an illusion, all of a sudden you'll find out that resistance is there because you must be on to something.
There you go.
And if you own to something, it is the something responsibility to show up in awareness and wipe out that resistance.
So actually, the resistance is a clue.
Kind of like a clue.
Lets you know that you're on the right track.
It's an indicator.
Yeah. Because if you didn't resist, there wouldn't be anything there to
Let's
resist.
just say it like
You
this.
wouldn't be on the right
That's
track.
right. Let's just say resistance is futile. That's Star Wars, Star Trek stuff.
It is the Borg.
The Borg. Resistance is going to reveal its true nature in the sense of an addendum.
Okay.
It's going to be something of an add-on to cause you to see your opposite.
There you go.
That's all resistance. Resistance is a sign, wonder, and a miracle that says to you the truth of who you are not versus who you are, because resistance is only a smoke string. Like I told you, the ego is a ghost with a bad toothache.
I don't know who it was that said this, but they said, and it sounded good to me, that the one you're looking for is where you're looking from.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
It's where you're looking from.
That is absolutely right. It is an amazing realizational thing that I look in the book over here and it said, he that ascended is the same also that descended far above all heavens, that he might feel all things. And then it said, wherefore he that said, he that ascended up on high and led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. The gifts that we thought in the church were the gifts of the Spirit was really the gift of Christ. It's the gift of our eternal awareness. It is a gift because the mind thinks it's something that was never there, but now discovered. But we've always, y'all listen, we've always been eternal. We've always been, there has never been a us in our eternal self that never existed. And we wasn't even born.
And remember, we are only an imagining that God
that's
had,
the
that God is having, because everything is perpetual. God is still imagining us into existence.
Yeah.
Still imagining us into existence.
So if we are resisting what was never taught or resisting what was taught, either side of resistance is an indicator that it's going against the peace that you are. That's what it is.
Yeah. And this is the thing, Sue. I want to say this, because who or what is it that is resisting?
Yes.
That is resisting must be that is being dismantled and is experiencing a death. Because you, as the pure presence that you are, do not resist. You have nothing to resist. You are already that. However, there is something there that is resisting because it's dying. I call it a near-death experience of the mind.
Adam in the garden was a sign of separation.
Yes, yes.
In that separation, there was no resistance until certain things came up or came about that created an opposite. When Eve came out of Adam, she was his self.
Oh, I just saw something.
Okay.
It said that every day in the cool of the evening, God would walk in the garden.
Yep.
And I realized that the God that was walking in the garden was Adam.
That's right.
Adam
separate and apart?
Not separate from God, but as God.
It said the cool of the evening.
Walked in the garden every evening.
That means Adam was real cool, y'all.
He walked in the garden every evening.
He was cooler than I was, and I've been with my shades on. I'm telling you, he was cool as a tater.
Yes, he did. Yes,
he was so cool, he was about to freeze, but he was cool. And when he left his coolness, he became uncool, and that's another word for being uncool called uncouth.
Oh yeah,
uncouth.
Sue says this. She said, "Yes, myself is being dismantled to the self with a capital S." Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and you know what we like about this? You really not existing as the lie is from the ego. You really are in perfect agreement with God in spite of the resistance. So now let's look at the resistance and let's look at it for what it's worth. there is some investment into this resistance
There's
that's
there's some
showing you,
juice. There's some juice in it
showing you.
that you're getting out of it.
Look out, look out, look out.
It's like getting mad at somebody and then saying, I think I'm just gonna give them a piece of my mind.
Yeah.
That's a juice. They're getting some kind of juice from being angry.
Yeah.
And I can act on this and I can act out and I can do this and I can let my ego do what it wants to do. That's the juice.
We are the seeker of the seeking. And that's what you got on that. Now, you guys, this thing is really right. Now, it's really good.
I like what Oliver says. He says, pure self doesn't resist. It only extends its nature.
It is.
It's like yes, Oliver, it's like the rose or the orchid or any flower that has a fragrance. When you step on it and crush it, it doesn't do anything but give you perfume.
That's right. That's right.
It gives you perfume.
The key to pure presence is fragrance. The key to pure presence is, you ready? The key to free presence is you and your infinite self.
Yes.
So you can't, if you are eternal, can you 1 minute forget about it and lose it? Nope. Can you go to sleep and wake up the next morning and it's gone? Can you get in a car and be sitting at a stoplight talking on your cell phone and forget it and it leaves you? Nope.
So I am that even if I am not experiencing it phenomenally. Right. I am that. You are that even if you're not experiencing it phenomenally. And that must be settled that I am that. No matter what I see as resisting, no matter what I see resisting, it is not me that is resisting because I don't resist. As pure presence, I don't resist. Therefore, I am not that. I am what I am, even if I'm not experiencing it phenomenally. So I need to make sure that you guys, that has to become a fixation in you, a knowing, not a believing, not a feeling, but a knowing that nothing changes what you are. Nothing. No mood, no behavior, nothing changes what you are. But what has happened is our focus and our attention has been on that we're not. And there is an ego mind that wants to get rid of that it's not. It doesn't like itself. And the one that doesn't like itself is the one that needs to go away.
Okay. And the history of what has been captured over the years in research and study about Christ, Jesus. Jesus at the Passover supper sat there at the table or stood, whatever he did, however they had it. And he knew that there was resistance around the table. He knew that resistance was a person that he pointed out that was going to dip his hand into that bowl or whatever. And he made it known also that the one that would greet him with a kiss would be the one that betrayed him, but he called this resistance his friend. Now, here's my point in this. I have tried over the years to get rid of bad thoughts, bad feelings, memories, and all that kind of stuff. And it seemed like it has a day and a time when that monkey really makes itself known, sitting up in the tree. It just
won't go to sleep.
And makes it look like I am him, the monkey. What I decided to do what was decided in my form to do, was to move deeper into the awareness of my real self and not the one that's doing all that chattering in the head and the feeling of the past and the memories of what was done to me and what was hurt and pain and all that. I found this part of me that we've been teaching in these classes, and it's in the course and it's all through the books of wisdoms, that part of me even if it does not leave, has never been me. And even if it does leave, it was never me. And if it decides to stay, it will and never will be me. Now, some of you guys are waiting for a moment that all of a sudden a lightning flash and the earth will quake and explode this false self-identity out of the way where it will never be bothered with. No. God sat there in Christ Jesus at the table, and Judas did not get on his last nerve. God was so identified inside and through and by Jesus' existence that he could look that thing in the face and not slip in and out of awareness of 1 minute being it and then slip back over the next minute. That means this: you should be so fixed in your conscious awareness of who you are in your infinite identity that you can notice when you're slipping in. So who is noticing the slipping in and out is the real you. You don't slip in and out of your identity.
Yeah. Now, this is the thing I want to, and I'm glad you said that, because I had to surrender trying to know what it would be like being the pure self. I had to surrender that because my concept was I would always be sweet, I would always be nice, I would always be kind, I would always be giving, I would always be affectionate and loving, I would always be joyful, I would never be disturbed, I would always know what to do all of the time, I would always have clarity about which direction to go in. I had all these concepts of what it would be like being the pure self. And these concepts is what was blocking me from just being the pure self. Surrender the desire to know what it feels like being the true self. Let that go. Choose to live spontaneously. Just live.
It's called finding out who you are as the pure self in spite of the ego. And you come to the place. I know this morning I was up. I know some people that have discovered what we've been talking about and what's in the course and the Union Life message and oneness. They feel like they should go around and share this with everybody.
Not necessarily so.
I found out that the more you get into this, the less you're going to want to tell people about it.
Yeah, you're just going to live.
Because there is nothing in this world that can really move you away from your true identity but a lie.
And so when you're when you have this concept still living in you of what it's supposed to be like when you're the pure self, you end up not liking who you are, and you end up trying to combat a ghost of who you are.
Here's a good one. We've been told that you can't get Social Security unless you go sign up for it. And if you sign up for it, you got to go through answering certain questions about your birth certificate and your existence in this world. And then if you're going to go further than that and go into disability for Social Security and all that kind of stuff, you got to qualify for that. What we're saying now is that the big lie is from the religion side of it is that we're telling everybody that we are so special because we sat down and we read the Bible and we read a book and we found out that this book was saying something that we really wanted, and so we decided to join up with the club.
Yes.
Let me tell y'all something. The eternal self is not a you that choose the left and right side of the road. The real you is the middle of the road and is present in every area around the left and the right side. All I'm saying to you is this: we as Christian folks, as we say Christian folks, put ourselves in a category. Not all of us. Please don't misunderstand. Not all of us. we put ourselves above everybody else because all of a sudden we go to church, we see God that in a way that everybody else don't, and we're going to convert everybody to see it the way we say. I told them in the barbershop one time, I said, everybody don't want to be a part of your club.
Yeah. Now I wanna speak to something else, and I appreciate Janie saying what she said. She said, and her concept has always been that she would never be angry again if she were to pursue.
Oh yeah.
And so when anger comes up, Janie, what happens is there is a measuring stick.
Oh yeah,
a measuring
self-judgment.
stick that comes out. Yeah, and it's called self-judgment. It's the inner judge.
Yes.
That starts to say, you're not that. You're not the pure self. Look at you. You're angry. That is the accuser in the mind. That is the inner judge. And the judge is measuring you, and you're not even the one that's angry. That is your conditionings acting out. And when you become aware of the you that you are, that you don't know you are, the anger will be taken care of. It may pop up, but it won't act out as it would have if you were not aware.
When everybody go ahead.
And even the Bible says, be angry and sin not. So it didn't tell you don't be angry.
It says be angry and sin not,
and
meaning
sin
this.
Not.
Look at anger. Don't be it. Look at it. It said be angry and sin not. Look at it. He's telling you don't be. Be angry means don't be that anger, but be angry and sin not. The sin is, here's the sin. Here it is. It's not a deed. It's the sin is the idea that you're separated from your identity, your eternal self, so much that you slip over to be in that anger.
And not only that, the sin, which is a misidentification, is that when you have the anger, you allow yourself to believe the judge that you are now the angry one, and you are not even the angry one.
Let me tell you something my mama told me. Now, you guys probably heard me say it. Before my mama crossed over, leaving her body, she got in the rest home.
Yes.
She got so frustrated with us because she wanted to come home to a physical home. And we told Mom, there's nobody at home to take care of you. And she was on her way out during that time. And she looked at me in the home. We wanted to touch, and she said, leave me alone, leave me alone.
She said, just
go. And she said, this is what my mama told me. She said, you are a butthole. I looked at my mama. I said, Mama, now watch this. She said, you are a butthole. I looked at my mama, and I told her, I said, Mama, you ain't never called me that. She looked up at me. She said, I did? I ain't never called you that. I said, you just did. She said, I did. I said, Mama, you ain't never called me that. That's the way we do with our eternal self.
She was speaking out of her pain.
Yeah.
Speaking out of her conditions at that moment.
But then she snapped back.
So can you forgive that?
Forgive that part that is lying to yourself in your head. That. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Woo! Don't allow that to dominate. Now, wait a minute, baby. When you start out, you're going to have problems slipping in and out of junk.
Of course.
That's all right.
But that's what being human is.
I'm so glad that I'm joint free.
Exactly.
I'm so glad that I'm slipping in and out of place free. That's what I want to call it. Slipping in and out.
And you know what I think?
Lord have mercy.
I think God enjoys his imaginings.
Yeah.
I think God is enjoying watching his imaginings play in this dream world. And just like we do when we watch little babies and they're discovering things and they do certain things. Some of the things they do, if they were adults, we would really be hard on them about it. But because they're babies and they're innocent, we even enjoy looking at them do things that are wrong.
In the scriptures or in books, it talks about the miracles that Jesus did. And he said to them that he told them that they would know, if they don't know who he was, he said, know who I am by the works that I do. Now, here's the works. The works are, when I began to understand that the miracle working power of God to heal the sick, raise dead, and cast out devils and all that stuff, I found out that the ego is the one that gets hold of those segments and try to build a kingdom around it to the degree that it makes all of our preachers who operate in that miracle ministry, and I was a dog eat dog for that. I said over many times in my preaching during that time that if you did not have these signs, wonders, and miracles with you, that you are not in the truth. You're not abiding in your true identity, because if Jesus there did those signs, then he'll do them now. Okay, here's what I found out. I found out that there's another way that this can be carried out in a totally different way of seeing than what I had the first time. I found out that this power that I'm looking for or wanted to operate in its pureness comes now through identity, my true identity. During that time, I was identifying myself from the first part of it with a independent, separated self that God would send power to and anoint and put everything on to do and to prove itself. Now, in my eternal pure self, I find I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I don't have to get over into conniptions. I don't have to wait on anointings. I don't have to wait on gifts manifesting coming, because I found out in Ephesians, it said here, when Jesus, he said, this is what the book said. This book, I mean, right in on the end of it. He that ascended is same also that ascended up far above the heavens, that he might fill all things. And he gave some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers. Now that's titles, that's identity and title. I left that title and went into the office of Jesus Christ, which means in my office of Jesus Christ, being one with him, I am one, he is one, and the same me. I don't have to go after these positionalities, don't have to go after these gifts of the Spirit, because they are now manifesting itself through beingness that is totally opposite of the way I used to see it.
Yes.
And I still have the healing power, and I really don't need the healing power anymore, because I am it. You are it.
Yes.
I don't need to be an evangelist, pastor, prophet, or teacher, because I am it. Yes. I don't have to display it. I don't have to advertise it. I don't have to say to somebody when they ask me, are you a prophet? Are you a pastor? Are you a teacher? I say, whatever you want to believe. But I don't have to live by that anymore. I used to go out and try to find people who would ordain me, who would anoint me and put me in the office of a prophet, because I saw certain things and label me. But I am now free from that. And I'm not going against the church. I'm not going against the calling of God. I just decided I would take it to a higher. I took it to the higher. I took it into perfection. And I'm now in a position and a fact, and not a faith, but a reality fact, that I am all of these with or without a title.
Yes. Brenda said this. Brenda Nathan said, I am an innocent child of God. You are more than a child of God. You are God himself in localized form, just an imagining of God. And then in that sense, you are a child, because he birthed us as his own imaginings. And I like what Oliver said. He says, I like the pastors who know their infinite self, not the ones that work gifts.
Oh, yeah.
I want to read this, and I know we only have just a few more minutes, but I want to read this too. This is still out of the same book. He says, that which is all-knowing and all-present, which is God himself, registers everything. Then he begins to talk of God as consciousness. Consciousness detects and instantly registers every event, thought, feeling, and occurrence, and knows everything completely forever. Every hair on every head is counted, noticed, and filed away in the knowingness of infinite consciousness itself. This occurrence is impersonal and automatic and happens because of the innate qualities of consciousness. You are an innate consciousness as well. Because you, whatever God is, you are. Okay? It has no personal stake in all of this, nor does it react. God does not get upset or offended or get his nose out of joint at any impertinence or lack of good taste.
Mm-hmm.
The infinite mercy and forgiveness of God is beyond any and all conception and is totally unconcerned with world events. God is not half of a duality. In infinity, there is no this is bad to react to, nor that. God is neither sadistic nor cruel. He cannot be injured and therefore has no desire for revenge. So if you're going to measure whether or not you're responding to life out of the pure self, measure it by what you know the nature of God is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't measure by am I being sweet, am I being joyful, am I not disturbed and all that. Measure it by what God is, because that's what you are.
I used to have this saying when I started out, when I found out that the book said that Jesus ascended and descended. He that ascended also descended into the underworld and preached to those that were in prison, which means those people who are in the who left and believing that they were going to go to hell, locked in this place in purgatory or paradise, they said in the teachings. They came up. Jesus came out of the grave and brought with him those that were in that locked in place in their consciousness. Ooh-wee. In their awareness, they was trapped in a system of belief. That's what happened to Adam. He got trapped into the belief that what was said to him out of the tree of knowledge of good and evil was true. He got trapped. Now, when Jesus came out, here's my point. When he was in his body in the grave, he left his body and went into the underworld and showed the rest of them how free they were. Somebody tell me, actually what the book said, that he descended into hell. So when somebody came up to me and told me to go to hell, I tell them I don't want to go to their house. And I tell them that, and I was let them know in my true eternal self, in the body of Jesus, eternal self, I done been to hell. And what I did in hell through Christ, I've been doing it and going to keep doing it. I set the captive free by me waking up to my true identity. I don't have to say one word. All I do is remember that I done been to hell and I done preached to everybody and I brought them out in Christ, and I don't have to go to hell just because you want me to go there.
Well, how about this? We are right now descended into hell, and we're preaching to people right now.
Right now in this hell heaven and mixed
so
up.
So that we can all ascend.
This mixed up goulash.
So that we can all ascend, because that's what it's all about.
My mother-in-law was cooking one time when we was in church with her before she left. She was cooking some neck bones and all kinds of stuff.
She had pig feet, neck bones, chicken feet, and something else all in one pot.
We call it a goulash.
Mama liked all that kind of
and she mixed that stuff up in a pot. And so when you get through eating at the table with everybody, we always get up and dump our scraps into the trash or dump it into the bag, you know. Well, I saw this pot sitting over there on the side. I saw this pot sitting over on the side, and it was her goulash. I just dumped my scrap in there. Boy, she went off on me. What a time we had.
It looked like scraps.
It did look like goulash, pig stuff. Hey, look, we're going to have to go. We
got to go.
Well, thank you so much. And laugh with us and pray with us and cry with us. And we all got it going on for us out there. We got it going on. We are so blessed to know that you guys are listening to the good stuff.
Now you guys come in at the tail end giving all these great comments. Knowing we got to go. Latoya from California. Hey, Miss.
Eric,
she said, I always had a problem with vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, like God has human emotions. Thank you,
Brother Eric. I see you out there.
Yes. And Sister Renee, my sister, she said that imagining I am of God is not human. This pure awareness of being is constantly opening up through everyday
Ooh,
experiences.
glory be to God.
Wow. Thank you, Sissy. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for your receiving what we've said today. And
Toni.
it's been good. It's been good. I've enjoyed talking to you guys today. And I think Jill has already posted in the comments a link where you can use to give to Cornerstone. Let me post how you can do that in case you don't remember. I think most of you do because you guys have been using that. Thank you so much for using that. And I think I need to take one of these off of here in order to do that.
Boy, you guys are coming. I wish some of you come in early. We could talk back to you, but we got to go.
So here's how you give, and you guys know that. You can mail it if you don't have any way of doing it online. You can mail it to P.O. Box 36259. That goes directly to Cornerstone. Or you can text it directly to Cornerstone with CLC Greensboro to 73256. Or you can go to the website and you can hit the donate button, and it's easy to do that and send it directly to Cornerstone. We appreciate that, and we also appreciate your giving to Pastor and myself. I say this, and I'm saying it as an affirmation and a statement of declaration. There's going to be a day when we won't have to even mention money.
That's right.
We won't even have to mention, and you will give because you want to give, not because someone solicited.
My Lord gives unto my Lord. My Lord speaketh unto my Lord. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes. And Juliet said, let me just take this down so I can talk to Juliet for a moment. She said this. She said, I learned a lot this morning. Thank you so much. I will be tuning in again. You are so welcome, Juliet.
You're so welcome.
And we love you guys. We love you, Janie. We love you, Latanya. We love you, Sissy. We love you, Brenda. We love you all so much. We love you guys. We'll be back again on Tuesday at 7:30.
All right. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.